U.S. Department of Justice has released nearly 30,000 additional pages of documents tied to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The newly released records are part of the ongoing disclosure mandated under the Epstein Files Transparency Act. According to the Justice Department, the release includes materials submitted to federal investigators over several years, some of which contain what the DOJ describes as untrue and sensationalist claims involving President Donald Trump. The newly released files also reference a 2019 letter purportedly sent by Jeffrey Epstein from a Manhattan correctional facility to convicted sex offender Larry Nassar, containing a crude remark about "our president shares our love of young, nubile girls." In a statement posted Tuesday, the Justice Department made its position clear, saying the allegations against President Trump contained in some of the documents are unfounded and false. Officials emphasize that the claims were submitted to the FBI just before the 2020 presidential election and lacked credibility. The DOJ stated that if the allegations had any factual basis, they would have already been used against Trump. Nevertheless, the department said it is releasing the documents in keeping with its legal obligation to transparency while applying required protections to safeguard Epstein's victims and survivors. As the document releases continue, attention has also focused on flight records included in the newly disclosed materials. One email, dated January 8, 2020, referencing Epstein flight records, claims that Donald Trump appeared as a passenger on Epstein's private jet on multiple occasions between 1993 and 1994 and 1996. The email alleges Trump was listed on at least 8 flights, some of which also included Ghislaine Maxwell. The DOJ has stressed that the presence of such claims in the files does not validate them. Officials reiterated that the documents reflect raw investigative material, tips, allegations, and submissions, not verified findings or conclusions. Critics argue the heavy redactions undermine the spirit of transparency, while the Justice Department maintains that protecting survivors remains its top priority.
The Justice Department's document dump this afternoon does not comply with Thomas Massie and my Epstein Transparency Act. They released one document from a New York grand jury of 119 pages, totally blacked out. This despite a federal judge ordering them to release that document. And our law requires them to explain redactions. There's not a single explanation for why that entire document was redacted. We have not seen the draft indictment that implicates other rich and powerful men who were on Epstein's rape island, who either watched the abuse of young girls or participated in the abuse of young girls and the sex trafficking. The reality is Pam Bondi has obfuscated for months. She first said there were no more documents to be seen. Now she's admitting and releasing hundreds of thousands of documents, but it is an incomplete release with too many redactions. Thomas Massie and I are exploring all options. It can be the impeachment of people at justice, inherent contempt, or referring for prosecution those who are obstructing justice. We will work with the survivors to demand the full release of these files, to demand justice for the Epstein class and accountability.
Earlier, U.S. President Trump said he doesn't like that photos of Bill Clinton are being released from the Jeffrey Epstein files, calling the move terrible. Trump claimed Democrats, with help from a couple of bad Republicans, are pushing the releases as a political distraction.
Those photos of Bill Clinton and Epstein files, and can you commit to their...
By what?
And were you surprised by the number of photos of Bill Clinton and Epstein files, and can you commit to their full release by the end of the year? Some of the victims were protesting that too many of them were redacted.
I know there were a lot of people that are angry about all of the pictures of other people, but I think it's terrible. Look, I like Bill Clinton. I've always gotten along with Bill Clinton. I've been nice to him, he's been nice to me. We've always gotten along, respect him. I hate to see photos come out of him, but this is what the Democrats, mostly Democrats, and a couple of bad Republicans are asking for. So they give me their photos of me too. Everybody was friendly with this guy, either friendly or not friendly, but he was around, he was all over Palm Beach and other places. The head of Harvard was his best friend, Larry Summers. And Bill Clinton was a friend of his, but everybody was. I actually threw him out of Mar-a-Lago. And as a person that was in Mar-a-Lago, I threw him out. Mar-a-Lago, this is Mar-a-Lago. It's the hottest place I think it's the hottest place in the world, but it's the hottest place in Florida. And everybody would come here, he'd come here. We actually threw him out. But no, I don't like the pictures of Bill Clinton being shown. I don't like the pictures of other people being shown. I think it's a terrible thing. I think Bill Clinton's a big boy, he can handle it, but you probably have pictures being exposed of other people that innocently met Jeffrey Epstein years ago, many years ago, and they're highly respected bankers and lawyers and others, and they'll end up, because of guys like Massey, who's a real lowlife, whose polls are down to about 9%, by the way, in the great state of Kentucky. If you look at Kentucky, Kentucky is such a great place, but I don't know, they've got a couple of people on there that are very strange in terms of leadership, but Massey's a loser, and he likes it, and then he works with the Democrats. He's just being used by the Democrats, because what this whole thing is with Epstein is a way of trying to deflect from the tremendous success that the Republican Party has. Like, for instance, today we're building the biggest ships in the world, most powerful ships in the world, and they're asking me questions about Jeffrey Epstein. I thought that was finished. I believe they gave over 100,000 pages of documents, and there is tremendous backlash. It's an interesting question, because a lot of people are very angry that pictures are being released of other people that really had nothing to do with Epstein, but they're in a picture with him because he was at a party, and you ruin a reputation of somebody. So a lot of people are very angry that this continues. A lot of Republicans are angry because of the fact that it's just used to deflect against a tremendous success. Look, we have $18 trillion coming into our country. We have, I believe, we're going to have the most successful economy in history. We inherited a mess. Now prices are coming way down. Gasoline is less than $2 in some states. $1.99, $1.97, $1.95 a gallon. $1.95. Think of that. A gallon. Nobody ever thought they'd see that. They don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about Epstein. And the problem is a lot of Democrats are being caught up in the web, like Larry Summers. Larry Summers was the head of Harvard. He's now been forced to resign from every board he's on, and he was thrown off the Harvard board. He was at Epstein's Island a lot. I wasn't. I never went there, by the way. But fortunately, it's nice. But I never went there. But a lot of people did go there. But instead of talking about the battleships, or instead of talking about most favored nations drugs, we're bringing down drug prices like at a level that has never even been thought of, by thousands. Think of it, by 1,000%, by 1,200, 1,300, 1,400% in some cases. A drug that sells for $10 in London is costing $130 in New York. We're bringing it down to $20, and they're going to go up to 20. So they're going from 10 to 20, which is a doubling. It's a doubling. It's a lot, but it's a doubling. But we're going down to 20. So we're going down, if you can do your own math, but it's 2,000%, 3,000%. It's pretty amazing. And the New York Times had a story about it, a small story, way in the back of the paper. It's the single biggest thing to happen with respect to drugs probably in 50 years. There's never been anything like this.